Yo, 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 what's going on? It's your boy Cool Ya P of the ShoPowSho. Before we get to this week's episode of the ShoPowSho, I want y'all to check out this amazing festival that I'll be collaborating with my folks over at the Mixed Asian Media Festival. Here we go right now. Check it out.
In 2017, we launched HapaMag, inspired by my blog, Miso Hapa.
For many of us, it has come to represent a space for us to express our mixed racial heritage with Asian or Pacific Islander ancestry.
To be Hapa is to be a part of a diverse and growing community with many perspectives.
In 2021, we made the decision to move to a broader future by renaming ourselves Mixed Asian Media, MAM for short.
In celebration of this re-identification, we present the first Mixed Asian Media Fest, MAM Fest, a glimpse of Mixed Asian and Pacific Islanders in their art forms, including art, film, theater, and dance.
In light of recent events, MAMFest will be an online event. However, we're hopeful that future years will allow us to meet in person and gather in physical space.
And have a creative project? Submit to MAMFest on filmfreeway.com.
What's going on? This is the NOC, the Nerds of Color. We are back with another ShoPowSho. It's your boy, Kuya P, the leader of the Hala Homies and the Cine Gang. Your Dobro, your Babinka boy. But I can't do this alone without the Dinaguanda Destroyers, the Lechon Ladies, the Sisig Supreme, the amazing Ates. What's up, Cataphoric and Viva Valentina?
Doing good.
Hey, great to see y'all. How y'all been? Everything good? Having a great week so far?
Yeah, so far so good. I'm here with my boba. I'm ready.
Hey, boba in the house. Okay.
Living the dream.
All right. Well, yo, we're gonna keep it bubbling like that boba. We're gonna keep it popping, if you will. We have a good friend, local DC actor who's been doing her thing for a minute, and then just even expanding from that, teaching beyond acting and getting into activism, just killing the game. Her laundry list of accomplishments is so crazy that I want you all to just check it out. It'll be in the description below because your boy's getting old, and we're just gonna have this conversation. So we're just gonna talk about it. So if you want to read it, you can read it in the description below. But we're gonna talk on it now. But let's bring her in. I can't wait to see her when we can get back together in person. She's so inspiring, Miss. And I'm going to brutalize her name. I forgot to ask her again to get it right, but she'll check me in a second. Here we go. Cori Dioquino. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it. You totally got it.
Hey, yo.
The only thing I'll check is I'm not DC based. I'm more Baltimore based.
Oh, that's right.
But I grew up in PG County, Maryland, so I'm not unfamiliar with DC.
There you
DC
go.
chillin', PG chillin'.
I know. I've totally got like a PG accent if you get me like super comfortable with people.
Hey, well, I think it's because I think DC, because we met in DC
We did meet in DC.
at the Crazy Rich Asians premiere, right?
Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians. That was a minute ago.
Yes.
I can't believe how long it's been.
I know. It's just time flies by, man.
There is no time in quarantine. So
Yeah, that too.
it was a freebie. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's amazing to see you, and I can't wait to get into just your amazingness, because that's what the show is all about. It's highlighting those amazing Filipinx that are just rocking and rolling and inspiring, and you are one of those. So I'm so happy to have you, my friend. Let's dig in. Tina, with the first question out the gate, let's go.
So we always want to know, where are you from? But like, where are you really from?
I was going to say, so I'm not offended by that question, right? Because I actually did immigrate. I immigrated from the Philippines.
So where are your parents from?
My parents. Okay, so you want the full ass history. Okay, am I allowed to curse on this show, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead. It's all right.
Okay. I was like, no. So I'm from Pasay, specifically like Makati, the Makati region. My mom is from Manila. Her dad's side is, want to say, Bohol. My grandma's from Bicol, and then my dad is from the Bisaya.
Okay.
So there you go. That's my full family history that I know. So we've got like Bohol, Bicol, Visayan, Makati, Pasay.
Do you know their love story? How they came together?
Oh God, their love story is messy.
Oh, that sounds good. Let's get the tea ready.
Well, so I feel like my grandparents' love story is cuter, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because like my parents, like, they knew each other when they were really young, and that's about it. But like, I mean, maybe I'm like I don't know. Maybe I just like really, I have a soft spot for my grandparents. But I think maybe just the idea of imagining my grandparents, because they're in their 90s, imagining them when they were in their 20s, meeting each other for the first time. I think they met on a blind date. My Lola said that her friend insisted on setting her up with someone during like some kind of social for college. And she, the way I remember her telling me is that she showed up at the social, had no idea who this person was. And then her friend was like, oh, doon, like that's him. And she looked and she thought she was pointing at this like short, chubby, like old guy with like a receding hairline. And she was like, why would you hook me up with this person? Like, and then she goes, no, not him. And I just imagine it. And I swear to God, in my brain, I just imagine this like guy moving out of the way, and then my Lola turning around and like wind blowing in his hair. And I've seen pictures of my grandparents when they were younger. They were good looking, man. They were really good looking people. Like, I saw a picture of my grandpa and I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I see why my Lola was like into him. He was a good looking man. But then I look at pictures of my Lola and she was like gorgeous. So yeah, so that was, what's that?
It runs in the family.
Aw, thanks. No, but so that's like my favorite. I think it's the sweetest, the cutest story. And it's like imagining them in like traditional Filipino like outfits and like in the 50s and then just like a Hollywood movie. Like my Lolo is revealed to my Lola.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, because we start with that because we are the product of their love. And then we grow from there. So what can you tell us? What could they tell us about immigrating here and then you coming into the picture?
Yeah, man. So my parents were the ones who immigrated. So just like a lot of people around my generation, my mom immigrated first as a nurse. So when I was 2 years old, she immigrated to the States. And my dad and I stayed in the Philippines. So from 2 to 4, I didn't have my mom. And then she came back to the Philippines, petitioned for visas, but only got one. So then from the age of 4 to 9, it was just me and my mom in the States. And my dad couldn't get a visa. So, and I barely knew my mom. So that was an interesting, living in a foreign country with a mother I didn't know. And, like I knew who she was, but there was a connection that hadn't been built because she had been missing for literally half my life. Right. So that's my immigration story. And it's interesting too, because I remember, I don't know if, did any of you immigrate?
No, I was born here.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I remember when I was like maybe around 5 or 6, my mom went through the emergency protocol with me of what to do if something were to happen to her. Because if something were to happen, I was an only child growing up. So if something were to happen to her, I'd basically be alone. I didn't have any family nearby. So she would like go through this with me for like a whole week. Like if something happens to me, then you're going to call Wendy Koch, who was her best friend at the time. You're going to stay at her house. She's going to call your godmother who lives in New Jersey. Your ninong Chito is going to come down from New Jersey. She's going to take you to Canada to be with your ninong. You're going to stay in Canada until your lola can come from Hong Kong. And then your lola is going to take you back home to the Philippines. And I would like drill this. And I knew exactly where all of the emergency numbers were. I knew that these same emergency numbers were at my daycare, at my elementary school. And I knew like, what am I supposed to do if mom dies or something happens to her? And I had the worst separation anxiety growing up because my mom would drop me off at daycare and I would literally just have a freaking panic attack. Like, because I was terrified I wouldn't see her ever again. But yeah, I mean, like, I think those stories, it's interesting because I would say these things to people growing up or like as an adult. And they would have the same reactions as you. And I'm sort of at this point where I'm just like, yeah, that was like normal. It happened. So it's interesting. I know, right? I mean, it's sad when I think about it, like imagine myself as a 4-year-old, but now that I'm an adult and I can look back on it, I'm like, yeah, that happened. I lived through it. It's fine. We're good.
You're so strong. You're so strong.
And nothing did happen to her. And you were prepared in the event that if it did, so you were prepared for that and knew what to do. Like that's just a wild kind of
reality.
Yeah. And I don't mind talking about it because I think those are the types of stories that people don't really hear, you know what I mean? Like they don't hear what children, like immigrant children go through really. And I feel like, I'm very unapologetic. I'm unapologetic. I'm very unapologetically Asian. I'm very unapologetic about sharing that because I think there's so many, I feel like kids are incredibly underrepresented anyway, let alone immigrant kids, because they don't have the language to communicate or even the capacity to sort of process what they're going through. And so I think for me at this point, I want to say I like talking about it, but I feel more empowered to share it because I'm sure that there's probably a kid out there that maybe needs to hear it. Maybe there's a teenager that's just like, oh my God, like that person went through the same thing. So I think I'm very unafraid to share that story because I think it just needs to be heard.
Hell yeah. And thank you for sharing. It's so powerful and just so needed. I don't know if you've seen Diana Paragas's Yellow Rose, but that was I'm scared to see that and Minari because those are two movies that I'm like, it's going to make me cry. Buckets, girl, buckets.
I'm like, I can't, anything where like kids are getting separated from their parents. I have a very hard time watching that. And I know what Yellow Rose is about.
Yellow Rose will fuck you up. I know what you just said. It's going to fuck you up.
I really cannot. I'm so scared to watch it. I'm like, let me watch it when it's a nice sunny day outside.
Absolutely. You need to have a recovery plan in place.
Oh my God. I'm too scared. I've known about that. I'm like, I need to watch it because I know one of the producers who worked on it. I'm like, I promise at some point I'm going to watch it, Jeremiah, but I'm like terrified to watch it.
It's so good, but being that your story is so similar, it'll get you. But it's very important. And I thank Diana and Jeremiah for putting together that project. and then you sharing your story, because there's people that are going through it and then they can relate and feel seen and not alone, having gone through it. So so now let's take it off of that to then just growing up and going into, you know, high school and, you know, getting assimilated, I hate to say that word, to American culture, but then I guess your dad finally coming over and, you know, and then like middle school, high school.
Yeah, my dad immigrated when I was 9. It was weird though, right? Because I knew it was my dad, but I also it was like a 5-year separation. So he was practically a stranger to me. So it was just a very weird experience. Like I remember sitting at home watching my dad like ironing clothes. And I remember just kind of staring at him and being like, I know he's my dad, but he doesn't feel like my dad. It just was a weird, really weird, bizarre experience. So, you know, I think one of the things that people don't really realize about families when they immigrate, especially when they go through separation like that, is like the amount of, you know, the lack of recognition that people have for one another. Like, you know, and how hard it is for people to rebuild relationships once that separation has happened, you know, because like, you know, so my dad and I had like a rough relationship growing up, but we're cool now. Like, I think now, especially because like, I don't know if y'all had like really overprotective Filipino parents, but like my dad was like super overprotective Filipino. And I think now that I'm a grown woman, he's just like, okay, she can take care of herself. Like she's done things by herself. I think she's fine. But, you know, you grow up like in a foreign country and like, you know, for all intents and purposes, like the United States was foreign for me. Even like after I swore my citizenship when I was 18. It was that I feel like was a bizarre experience. But yeah, I think growing up, I like to tell people that I had like 3 major identity crises. And the first was when I immigrated and realized that I wasn't the right kind of Asian. I actually had this experience when I was like in 1st or 2nd grade sitting in daycare, where I remember looking at a globe and I remember staring at Asia. I remember staring at China and I remember staring at Japan. And then I looked at the Philippines and I sincerely remember thinking to myself, I wish I came from China or Japan, because then people would actually believe me when I told them what country I came from. And I just remember thinking to myself, nobody knows what the Philippines is. They don't know that it's another country. And I always think like now as an adult, that's such a bizarre thing to think about, because I wasn't sitting there wishing I was white. I was sitting there wishing that I was the right kind of Asian, which of course, when you're a kid, you don't process these things. But I think about those moments now as an adult, when I think about some of the things that I thought about myself when I was a kid, and I just sit there and I go, which is why I think I'm very open about my experiences, and why I even started like Asian Pacific Arts Collective, is because I was just like, we need like adults to actually have a platform to share these stories, because somewhere out there is a kid that feels really, really alone, and they're just waiting for someone to say, hey, I went through that too. So yeah, but those are, I think, the road to assimilation was less about me trying to be white and more me trying to pass as the right kind of Asian, which is the weirdest thing to try and do when you think about it.
No, yo, that's so real talk. We had Tamlin Tamita on, and I expressed to her my love for her, because it was through Karate Kid Part 2 that
I love her.
I me to being Asian, you know, but I wanted to be Okinawan because it was about, you know, that. I didn't know about Philippines until late. It was through Karate Kid that, you know, I discovered, you know, took pride in my Asian, started asking the questions. And then I was like, do we do with what we saw in the film? Do we do that in the Philippines? No, not exactly. There's some similarities, but not. And no. So then just like you were saying, but so are we not the cool Asian? And I later took, you know, more immense pride in my Filipino-ness, but I felt like, oh, we didn't have all this cool stuff. But it's crazy. Thank you for sharing that. And it's real talk.
Thank you. Yeah. I think now I think Filipinos are freaking badass. Like, Riot coming out and stuff. And I think now there's so much more people are starting to, especially in Hollywood, like there's a lot more talk about Filipino martial arts, because that was the martial arts training. I don't know if y'all were Game of Thrones fans. I was up until like the final, like few seasons, wait, the throwaway seasons. But was that?
I'm waiting for that book to come out.
I know. I'm taking a break from Game of Thrones because I'm still processing what happened in the show. And then I think I'll finally get to a place where I can read the books, because then I'll be like, okay, now I can pick up the books and read them.
Take your time.
So Game of Thrones, if you watch behind the scenes, Arya Stark, her martial arts trainer actually used, I think, Arnis, or what is it called? I learned it as Arnis, but the Filipino martial arts of blade training.
Eskrima sticks?
Yes, thank you. Eskrima. Yeah. So that was one of her major trainings that she used, was Eskrima. And when I watched the behind the scenes footage and the trainer said that, I was like, oh, Filipino martial arts.
Love it.
That's cool. Wow.
So going back to where we were at in regards to, wanting to be the cool Asian, what was it like? So what was your self-discovery like in that you were Filipino? Like what traditions and did your parents and your family pass on to you? Did you take pride in it, or were you like, oh, we're still not the cool Asians? What was that like?
I think for me, when I was growing up, because my mom was raising me by herself, I think she felt guilty trying to make me do some of the traditional Filipino things, like, like mano, or like, some of those things. I know now in retrospect that was like a point of contention for my parents, because when my dad immigrated, he thought I was being disrespectful because I didn't have those practices instilled in me. And I don't think it was for lack of trying. I think my mom, there were some things that she was willing to let go of and some things that she wasn't. Like, she refused to not speak to me in Tagalog. Like, I came home when I was a kid and said I didn't want to speak Tagalog anymore because my American friends told me I could only speak English. And my mom was like, oh, really? Fuck that. And she just kept speaking to me in Tagalog. So now I at least understand it fluently. And I'm like, at the very least, bolol. But if people are speaking around me, I understand them fluently. But yeah, so I think when it really hit me was when I was 18, I had to swear my citizenship. And I always classify that as like my second identity crisis, because I don't know if y'all know this, but when you swear your citizenship to the States, they make you denounce your citizenship to the other country. Yeah. Your other country. And so for me, it was just like, okay, so do I swear my citizenship to a country that has never really wanted me here? Or do I keep my citizenship to a country that barely knows who I am anymore? And so, of course, I swore my citizenship to the States because I was terrified of deportation. So I swore my citizenship, but then it was just kind of like, okay, so I'm American now. That's weird. And I think it was then I was at college and I would kind of fantasize about the types of roles I would play. And I realized a lot of the roles that I wanted to play were these Filipino roles that took place in the Philippines and had Filipino story arcs. And then it dawned on me that no one was going to write those films and no one was going to write those movies because they were all my ideas. And so I was just like, okay, so if I want these to be made, I have to be the one to make them. I can't just be an actor. I actually have to be the one making sure that these stories are being made. So I have a plethora of ideas, and I'm sort of, that's why I've been producing a lot more lately, because I would rather, I like acting, but I think the whole reason why I picked up on acting was so that I could continue to learn things about production and then eventually graduate to producing things. So still learning, still a baby producer, as I like to say.
Girl, we need that. And I want to dig into that later. And I love that you're going to move forward with that. So let's start when it first happened. When did acting first come into the picture? Was it school plays in high school? Let's start about the early on period.
I mean, I'm very arte, right? Ang napaka-arte ako, right? I've been acting since I was a kid. I've been performing since I was a kid. All of the memories that my my family likes to tell me is, oh, remember that time Cori was in the department store and the Beach Boys came on the stereo and she hopped up on a mannequin stand and started singing and dancing to it. Apparently I actually did that. And according to my mom, I had a little audience at the end that like applauded me. I don't remember any of this. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I've been acting in utero. So I think that's just, but you know, when you're a person of color, and especially if you're an immigrant, you realize you can't just be an actor, because if you are, then you're just letting people stereotype you and peg you into these boxes that you don't really belong in and that you don't want to be in. So you sort of have this epiphany of, if I want to be like a real actor, I kind of also have to be a producer, because there's no things, and it's a problem, right? Like half the time I'm auditioning for stuff, I'm just like, I don't really want that. I don't want to play this person. But you do it because you want to get your foot in the door and you want to be seen and you want them to know that you can actually act and that you exist. So I think it's changing now, though. I've been hearing a lot of buzz from friends in the industry that are like, oh, there's X, Y, and Z Filipino things that are in production, so prepare yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm here.
It's happening. The conversation is going down. And so, yeah, I feel there's definitely a renaissance about to occur for us. So I'm so excited for our future and our representation. So drama in high school?
Hell yeah.
And all of that. So what did you want to do? So let's talk about like at that high school point, that did you know you wanted to go into acting in college? What was that decision like? And I'm going to also add in, what was the decision that you had for yourself, but what was also your parents, influence on that? Because as you know, as Filipinos, they don't exactly want us to go into the arts. Sometimes we do have parents that are for it, but then we get kind of pushed to the more quote unquote responsible route, like accounting, all of that.
Nurse, doctor,
exactly.
Teacher. Well, it's funny, right? Like I grew up trained as a competitive pianist. But I never competed because I hated competition. I hated sitting there knowing that someone was like specifically judging me. I just didn't like it. I didn't like being compared to the other students.
So whose dream was that? Who made you get into
I wanted to play piano.
Oh, it was so.
Before I realized that it would require me to compete in competitions and sit in front of an adjudicator at the end of every year and play 10 pieces from memory and be graded on all of them to pass to the next level. I just wanted to play fun tunes, and then it turned into this really serious career choice when I was a kid. And I always joke around that quitting piano when I was in high school was one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life, because me and my mom was not happy at all. And I was like, I want to quit. And I felt like I was made to feel like shit for it. And I just always joke around that was a heartbreaking moment.
So it's like getting in front of a piano, like PTSD now?
I have tried so hard to sit back in front of a piano and just play things. And for a while I could like play the last couple of pieces that I had learned. But then after a while, I just sometimes sit at the piano, and it's been so long now that I barely remember anything. I'm sure if I tried, I know how to practice. I know how to do scales and stuff. And I always tell myself I'm going to do it. And then if I sit in front of a piano, I'm like, all right, 15 minutes is enough. I'm leaving. I think my quote unquote PTSD more or less happens when I'm rehearsing for anything. I hate rehearsing in front of people. It's because my mom would sit there and watch me practice piano. So even as an actor, if I have to rehearse, like rehearsals for shows are a nightmare. Like I've been told straight up that I am a frustrating actor to work with, because in theater, you're told to give 100% in rehearsals. And I can't do that. It's very hard for me to do that for a lot of reasons. But once the show is open and we're there opening night and the curtain is up, I am like 250%. And directors are sitting there like, why didn't you bring that to the rehearsal room? And I'm like, because I was in the rehearsal room. What'd you expect? But yeah, I think though, So I studied music in college. I studied voice. I didn't do piano. I did singing. And then I got my associates in music. And on that journey, I realized that I wanted to be an actor and I wanted to do theater because I was trying to double major. Oop, I hear a police truck. Hold on. Should I mute?
That's cool.
Yeah, we didn't hear.
I was like, uh-oh, I hear police officers. Not police officers, a cop car. But okay, so I majored in music in college, got my associates in it, and I tried to double major in theater before I realized, oh, I don't want to study music at all. I just want to do theater. So I got my associates in music and then switched my major to theater. And that's that. But even then I was kind of apprehensive of doing theater because I only studied theater really for 2 years in college because that's when I switched my major. So I kind of had this weird imposter syndrome where I didn't pursue my acting career right away until I started working in the box office at Baltimore Center Stage up here. And I got to interact with a lot of professional actors. And they all kept telling me like, you should pursue acting, Cori. I know there's a really good actor in you. You should do it. And because those professional actors were sort of rooting me on to just like drop everything and do it, that's when I was just like, okay. They said I should do it. I should do it. And so I think it was a really great environment for me to be in because I think a lot of the actors that came through, at least the ones that I met at the time, were very generous and very willing to help in any way that they could, which was really great.
Awesome. So I think I stomped on it earlier, but was your parents okay with that? Was it like your decision? And obviously you changed up when you were in college and chose what you wanted to do, but were they okay with you like doing that? And are they still, she's making it happen.
I mean, they're definitely cool with it now. I mean, they get bragging rights, right? Especially when their daughter's on like Daredevil and like FBI and New Amsterdam, they could be like, oh my God, that's my daughter. So, I think they like the bragging rights, but, no, I think so. I actually didn't want to go to college right away. I really wanted to take a year off, but my mom was she kind of pressured me to continue with school because her fear was that if I quit college, I would never go back.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, and what would the like I could have just pursued my acting career sooner, but no, I think I selected music as a major because I was like, well, I already know how to do that. I don't even know what else I want to do. And I think at that point, because my mom knew that I was thinking about just not going to college at all for a year or two, my mom was like, just go to college. I don't care what major you pick. Just pick a major and get your degree. And I was like, oh, really? Anything? I can do anything? Okay. And I was like, I guess I'll start with music. And then I switched my major to theater. And I think by then my parents were just like, just get your degree. So I think they're happy about it now. I mean, it's funny though, because as an artist, you always have to have a career that grounds you. And so I ended up becoming a teacher anyway, which is fine because I do it in my own way. But it's just funny how you try really hard to not be, those stereotypical, you try not to pick those stereotypical career paths and then you end up picking them anyway.
Kat's a teacher.
I love being a teacher.
What made you fall in love with acting, and then to do it as a teacher?
I think honestly, just the stereotypical answer you hear so many other actors give is just, I get to play make believe and pretend I'm somebody else. And I'm binge watching through all the Marvel movies right now because I'm trying to watch like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I can't remember a lot of the references that they make. So I just finished watching the Avengers and Iron Man 2, and I had watched Thor maybe a couple months ago, and I'm just sitting there like, man, see, that's the stuff right there. Like, people want to play make-believe and get dressed up and just have fun. And I mean, I'm sure it's like a really brutal shoot day when you're filming a Marvel movie. I'm sure it's really hard. But at the end of the day, I think that's the kind of stuff that I always wanted to do. And not even just that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of really good stories out there.
Oh yeah.
Especially on TV now.
Yeah.
Miniseries. Yes.
Yeah, I think streaming, I shouldn't say TV necessarily, but
Yeah.
streaming is changing the game.
Oh yeah. So you've worked on regular TV sets, I mean, TV projects and film and stage. Do you have a preferred, you know, realm of doing your acting?
I really like TV, to be honest. I only just started getting my feet wet because you audition for years and then you finally book. And then once you start booking, people are like, oh, she was in this. Okay, cool. But it sucks because 2020 was supposed to be my year. I was like, all right, I just booked New Amsterdam. That was a really good role. And 2020 is the year I'm going to book some recurring and some regular roles. And, womp womp.
But the ebbs and flows of the acting industry. Yeah.
But it's really funny because I quit acting for 2 years a while back because I was doing theater, and one of the biggest reasons why I don't like theater is because I don't like equity. I think personally, and I don't care if this is on record because they're getting called out for their shit. But
Yeah.
equity treats their actors like total horseshit. I didn't like being a non-union actor or a non-equity actor working on equity sets or equity gigs because they don't pay you anything, but they exchange pay for points. And so I found myself in a lot of situations where I was doing, as an ensemble member, more work than the equity actors. Like, you're glorified stagehands, you're just moving furniture and stuff, but you're getting paid $500 for the whole entire show in exchange for what, like 1 point per week that you're in rehearsal. I don't know if they've changed it since then because that was a couple of years ago. I think they changed the number of points you needed to accrue. But at that point, I sort of just became very disillusioned, and I had this moment of, is this what I'm working my ass off for? And to top it off, like a couple of the equity gigs that I worked on were really just toxic. I was just surrounded by mean girls. And, when you're in that kind of like dog eat dog environment, it breeds competition. And like I said before, I really fucking hate competition. So the moment I found myself in a situation where the actors were basically clawing each other's eyes out just to get seen and just to get attention and just to be, commended and pat on the back, I just was kind of like, this is bullshit. I don't like any of this fucking shit. And so I quit acting for 2 years because I was like, if this is what I've been working my whole life for, I don't want it. Yeah. And that's how I got into teaching. I taught full-time at a public school. I really loved it. But of course, like you work in public school and there's a lot of stuff in public schools that are very problematic as well. So I found my happy medium was working as a teaching artist doing residencies because I could teach my art. Yeah, so I think for me, I really like doing arts integration because I can do residencies and I can teach my art form and still develop relationships with the kids and, get them to really love being an actor or doing theater and not be bombarded with, what's it called? Sort of the politics of education, because it can get pretty weighty. I usually teach summer school. I teach at an arts integrated summer school, and it's usually like a 5 to 6 week program. And you're teaching with a person. So it's a teacher and a teaching artist, and they're co-teaching together. Yeah. And they're splitting the load, planning lessons, so the teacher will usually plan out the math lessons, and then I will kind of find ways to integrate the art into it. So it's a lot more fun. And I really like it that way because I'm working for like an outside organization and we don't have as many expectations as working, in a public school or even a private school.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. Hey, just your evolution. We as actors, we get into acting because we want to tell our stories. We want to play make believe, but it's also kind of a way to share and give back, if you will. At least that's how I see it. And then as well to take it into teaching, you're doing that. So I just commend you on all of that. And then on a whole nother note, like you're wearing the unapologetically Asian shirt, how you've gotten into activism as well, and speaking out. And I'm sure that's what I'm all about. So can you just explain for yourself as well why you wanted to, speak out on things that are going on in the world in our community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so before Unapologetically Asian, I co-founded the Asian Pacific Arts Collective up here in Baltimore, and I was shying away from it before, but now I'm just very open about it. I'm like, well, basically, the organization started because there's a theater company up here in Baltimore that did some yellow face with the Mikado, and I got very pissed off and wrote a blog about it that accidentally went viral. Which I remember. Oh, you do? You remember?
Yeah, that's when we like first started meeting each other, and then this started coming together, and I'm like, man, if I had more time, but we just couldn't connect.
And I think I met you.
Yeah.
I think I met you right when we were starting to form the organization. Yeah. But it was funny because, so the funny thing about that blog was I wasn't intending for people to share it. I had actually posted it in a private Facebook group that I started. I think you might be in it. And I was like asking people, hey, it's live, but please don't share it. I'm not ready for people to read it. I just want your feedback. Tell me if it's too angry.
Yeah.
Because there were a bunch of like really sarcastic memes. Like I was quoting sections from the article that pissed off everyone. And then I was putting really sarcastic memes of people just kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I think my friend didn't see the caption on the Facebook post that said, please don't share yet, I'm still editing. All she saw was the blog and read the blog. And I guess it resonated with her. And then she shared it on her page. And I was literally like, no. And I was like, it's in the internet now. I can't take it back. Yeah. And then it became my most viewed, most read blog. And I think
we all felt it. We just didn't say it. You encapsulated how we felt.
Exactly. And I think that for me was the epiphany of, so anger is a thing in our community. We just don't like to talk about it. And so I'm literally just at this point, I'm cool being the angry poster child for the Asian community. If y'all need an angry mascot, I'm glad, put me up there. That's fine. There's a lot of things that I'm not, but angry is not one of them. I will gladly be angry for you.
Yeah.
So angry Asian shirt.
I know, right? I know. Well, that's kind of where Unapologetically Asian kind of stemmed from, was I connected, it's weird, right? How you meet people, right? So I met my friend Justine through my friend Alex, who was doing this big virtual fundraiser for Feeding America. And she called it Artists Feeding America. And she raised $5,000 over the course of 24 hours, because it was literally a 24-hour nonstop virtual fundraiser with performances and everything. It was really great. And so I met my friend Justine Morale doing that. Justine introduced me to Diane Phelan, who had founded Racism as a Virus. I participated in the Racism as a Virus, using one of the same photos from the same angry Asian blog, where I'm just flipping off the camera. Diane responded to my post, and then Justine connected us to each other. And Diane was already concocting this whole Unapologetically Asian movement, which was sort of the counter to Racism as a Virus, because I think the way that I read it was Racism as a Virus is sort of the angry response. And Unapologetically Asian is meant to be the uplifting response of us telling our stories and us being unapologetic about who we are. And we're here to share you who we are in our culture. And so I think the two sort of counter each other and complement each other, where Racism as a Virus is where we can be angry, but Unapologetically Asian is where we can uplift. And so that's how I got involved with that.
I love it. I love it. I have to ask you, because it's timely. It's what's going on right now, and it's something that deeply concerns me as as an Asian man with what's going on right now. And you're a strong Asian woman, and as we all know, there's a lot of within this past year we've had attacks on our elders and you as Asian women. Is there anything you would like to share in regards to that? Because it bothers me, as they're not going to do it to us Asian men, they're going to use you all as crimes opportunity because you're quote unquote, the stereotype of women, and in that you can't protect yourselves. And so they attack y'all, but they're not attacking us because you know, what we all know how the world is. And I hate it. And as a Asian man, like, I love y'all so much, and it pains me that y'all are getting attacked. So just a statement in regards to that, and how you're taking it and your family, and just a message in regards to that, because it's what's going on right now, and just would love to hear your point of view.
I think it's funny that, like, there's a stereotype. I don't know, like, you two seem like you're very strong women. I'm are you saying no, you're not?
No, I'm saying, like, oh, I'm like ready to
She's ready to scrap.
Look at her putting her hair back.
The amount of times I've had to call her Tina in a club.
Hold me back. No, I don't think it's funny that people think that we don't fight back, but like, I got excited when I saw that 70-year-old woman beat the shit out of that one dude that attacked her. I was like, see, you just like mess with the wrong person. Like,
classic fuck around and find out. Right?
I know, right? So like, it's funny. I don't know what people's conversations with their Asian parents have been like, but I've been texting my dad. I've been like calling my dad. I'm like, Dad, you better listen to me. Like, you were one of the angriest people I know. I've seen you lose your temper on people. You better like watch your back. Like everything, all the things that they taught me growing up from the Philippines. They were like, I was like, look over your shoulder every 20 seconds. Make sure you got some mace in your pocket. I was like, and if somebody comes for you, you better go ape shit on their ass, Dad. I'm like, literally just like, I'm not playing, Dad. I'm not playing. I'm like, you told me stories where you beat up people twice your size, Dad. They think that we're not going to fight back. You better fight back. And then I literally was like, and if somebody comes for you, you better tell me so I can come for them too. Like, just literally like, I don't know what anyone else's conversations with their parents sound like. And then I should just find it. I texted my mom, because like my mom and I text more than we do like talk. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if you know this, but you know, they're attacking Asians and da-da-da-da-da. And she sent me this long text message because she took Aikido growing up. She was like, what are you carrying to protect yourself? And I was like, mace and a tire pressure stick. And she was like, isn't that small? Aikido 101, be aware of your surroundings. If you see a group of people of any race where you're passing, cross the street, always be aware of the people behind you. If possible, let them pass you. It's better if you follow them than they follow you. She like went on and on like this long thing. She was like, if someone's coming at you, use their momentum, grab their arm and let them. And she was just like giving me all
I love that
advice. I was reading and I was like, okay, so God help the man that attacks my mother.
Yeah. The manual.
I was literally like, I was like, okay, so my mom's okay. My mom's gonna be okay. Okay. But like for me, the day after Atlanta, I was like, okay, I have shit to do. And I didn't have anything to protect myself except for mace. I'm not kidding. I put a machete in my backpack. Because I was literally like, come for me. Fucking come
yes.
for me. So, and my husband was like, maybe you don't carry an actual weapon. Maybe you carry something that could be used as a tool and a weapon. And I was like, okay, but until that comes, this is what I'm carrying with me. So,
but I got the for 2 to 4 business days later.
I know, right? I was just like, until this comes in the mail via Amazon, the machete is what I've got. So that's what I'm going to use. And my hairdresser, who's half Filipino, was like, you are so Filipino. She was like, I know you are not carrying a machete in your pocket. I was like, we're going Nice Fernandez on these bitches.
Oh my God, I love you. You're so awesome. Hell it, girl. Yeah, that just made me feel so good, because I've had some other friends and some friends that have been on the show, and just, you know, just there's a concern and they're fighting back, and they're strong women as well. But it's been depressing, you know. So just your positivity is just so fulfilling right now. And
I feel like you have to laugh about it to some degree. Yeah. Like it's funny, but it's not. And I dread the day if someone ever comes for my parents and what that might end up looking like. But for now, I'm like, I'm angry for a reason. I inherited that from my parents. So like one angry parent and another angry parent made a really angry child. So like, you know, I got it from somewhere. So I really hope that that doesn't end up like getting tested, but at least I feel like I know my parents got it. Like, I feel like I'm not as concerned about my parents than I think some people are.
Yeah.
So I think at this point they're more concerned about me as per usual, right?
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that, because it's so important and everybody's going through it, and just to hear those words are going to help out a lot. So, man, so like we've touched on acting, we've touched on teaching and activism. Girl, you're killing it, man. What is
Where's our sticks? I have our sticks.
We need to get our sticks out. Let's fight.
So what's more on your plate? You said as well that you kind of are transitioning a little bit into producing and telling our stories, which I absolutely love, because that's also somewhat I'm doing now. But I've actually started getting back into acting as of like a month or two ago. I got into an acting class to just get that muscle working again. As you know, we have to work that muscle, and it's been beautiful. But at the same time, I'm writing, and I'll take this off the list for the Ates, because it's something I always bring up every episode. One of the stories I want to tell is the bottle of Mactan. To me, it's our Black Panther. It's, you know, Lapu Lapu is everything. And I already have the cast in mind as well. But like just telling our stories, and, you know, also like our World War II veterans, the Filipino veterans that didn't get their medals after all of their achievements. The story of David Fagan, who came, the Black soldier who came to fight with us in the Philippines back at that time. There's just so many stories, and then the immigrant story, which, you know, you shared your story earlier and was so beautifully done in Yellow Rose that it just needs to be told. Are there any stories of Filipinx American or just things along those lines that you want to tell? Because again, like you said, you wanted to play those roles, but they weren't giving it to us. So now you've determined, hey, I got to get behind the screen and behind the camera to write and tell them. Anything in that regard you want to share?
I think this is already in the works. I won't say by whom, but I love like fantasy and mythology, and we have such a rich Filipino, you know, mythology. And I was reading Percy Jackson, the Percy Jackson series, like over the holiday, and I remember reading it and being like, "Yo, wouldn't it be badass if we could produce a series?" And in my brain, I was like, "It'd be so cool if it was a series about Filipino kids that are immigrants or like mixed race, and then they're finding out that they're the descendants of gods, or like magi who were calling on the gods." And wouldn't it be cool to put those stories in America, in the United States, where kids are already trying to grapple with their identities as immigrants or mixed race or second generation? It'd be so badass. I'm putting it in the universe, because I'm like, someone's going to hear this and they're like, work with me, Cori. Because I just think it would be such a badass TV series to have these like young Filipino mixed race kids who are already probably talking about their identity, and then bring on some like badass Filipino actors. And then all of a sudden it's like, what? Like, my mom was so uncool, or like Lola was so embarrassing. And then Lola turns out to be this like really powerful magician, and she's like calling on the gods, and they don't know if it can happen because they're no longer on their Filipino soil. See, I already have the entire story.
You got a whole outline.
I already have like the whole outline. I'm just like, they call on the Filipino gods, and like it takes a little bit more effort because they're no longer in the motherland, but like it happens. I'm literally like, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it that, like, seriously, guys, I have an outline. It's in my brain. Somebody come work with me. Holler at me. I will work with you to produce this shit.
Yo, I'm already with you. And actually, it's funny you brought that up. And like you were saying, there's some stories, because I am aware of it as well. I think we can talk offline of some of the things
I know,
that
right?
are in development. But it reminds me, and actually, I'm just going to put this into the universe. There's another local actor friend. I don't know if you know Francis Abbey. He was on our show as well.
Oh, I've heard that name, and I'm pretty
he
sure
now works in the news. He's a producer in news now. But
okay, I know that name.
Okay. Well, he has a script. We talked a little bit about it on our last episode, so that's why I'm gonna at least use his. It's called Say Boo, and you know what? We're gonna have to work offline. I think.
I know. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Let's talk. We're gonna make these stories, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. We want to make these representation matters, and these stories need to be told because we're so beautiful, man. We're awesome. We're killing it. And Cori, that was fantastic. So we're gonna make these things happen. And if they're not gonna give it to us, and like you said earlier, then we're gonna fucking take it. We're gonna make it, and we're gonna take it.
We all know the same people, and like some of these people are all producers too. So at some point, this is gonna happen. Like we're gonna make this happen. Like give it like another like 5 to 10 years. We will have that series streaming on Netflix, putting it out there in the universe. So streaming on Netflix, and we're gonna have a whole generation of Filipinx kids that are like, I am the descendant of gods. Wouldn't that be adorable? That would be so awesome.
As a mixed kid, I want that.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we need.
Oh,
man. I love it. Totally. Well, Cori, this has been amazing. We have one more question. I'm gonna toss it over to Kat for our final question.
We always like to end things, since we are the nerds of color, with a little nerd check. So, what is your area of nerd expertise? What could you give a nerdy TED Talk on? If so, challenged.
I think
more specific, the better.
Oh. See, I feel like my mind immediately went to X-Men. But that's because I grew up watching the cartoons, not reading the comics.
Such a good show.
But like, I can sing a whole theme song from. I've literally led a chorus of people just being like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. It's like literally like if I start singing that around the right group of people, then someone will turn around and be like, da-na-na-na-na-na. Just like break out in the theme song. But no, so like, who is my favorite X-Men? Okay, in the cartoon, I loved Rogue and Gambit.
Cartoon Rogue. Ooh, yeah.
Her and that Sugar, like, oh my God, whatever she was like, hey Sugar, and her and Gambit, because him and his Mon Ami, like that was my jam. I thought Gambit was cool, man. The fact that he could pick something up and just make it explode, I was like,
oh yeah,
I want that. I didn't like Jean Grey because of the whole Scott drama thing. I don't know. I didn't like drama. I was all about the Rogue and the Gambit.
Cyclops is the most inferior X-Men. Y'all can fight me.
No, I'm with you on that one. That or Storm was also really badass. Like, I mean, she's a freaking goddess. But I feel like I could probably if you gave me enough time to like re-up on my research for X-Men, you could probably test me a little bit. It's been a while, but like I loved X-Men. That, and then also maybe Star Wars. Star Wars, like, yeah.
I love Star Wars, but I don't like necessarily like to tell anybody I like Star Wars. Right? Was that the
It's hard for me to talk about Star Wars because I will never get over the expanded universe. I will never forgive John.
You mean like the recent episodes or all the
books?
All of the books.
Oh, the books. See, I haven't read the books. So that's why I'm like, maybe Star Wars.
Well, it's gone now, so you don't have to worry about it. But I will never get over it. I will never recover from that. I will. Disney has betrayed me.
No, I feel that. I love Star Wars. Actually, that's what, when I get sick, if I get the flu, if I'm seriously sick, I dig out my VCR and my old edition Star Wars original trilogy, and I put them on loop for however long it takes me to get better. And that's all I watch. Just those 3 movies over my comfort movie. But I would never want to get into technically a parsec. I don't like, this is not the conversation. This is not the conversation you're looking for. But I do love it. I do love it.
I feel like the original ones before they re-edited it, like that to me just kind of ruined it. I was like, I want the original 70s version before they changed everything. And now they're not available. Like you can't get them unedited anymore. And I'm just kind of really bummed about that. Like it's hard for me to enjoy it now because I'm just like, why would you ruin a good thing? Like it's a time capsule. I want to see 70s Star Wars, man, with the bad special effects and everything.
Right. And like adding in the newer CGI things and trying to kind of like connect the dots in some places, it just was really forced and heavy-handed, and it seems so out of place. And you're like, wait, what? Like I remember the first time I watched Return of the Jedi, the new one, and they had like the at the end, spoiler alert, at the end,
Anakin.
Anakin. They added in Hayden Christensen at the end, and I remember looking at that and being like, was he always in this? I had to like, was he in this before Hayden Christensen was born? How did they do that? Yeah. I was like, how did they do that? Did he always look like that? Like it really blew my mind. And then I was like, okay, that's dumb.
I didn't like it because the original one, it was the old man who played.
Which makes sense, right? Right?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Like I was like, why would they change it to, he doesn't know what his father looked like when he was 20. I don't understand this.
And how do you look like that anymore? Like
I would have been Luke Skywalker, like, wait, who the fuck is that guy? He would have been like, wait, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and do I know you? But yeah, I don't know. That's why I was like, maybe Star Wars, because I feel like X-Men, they're rebooting it, aren't they? I think they're rebooting it.
X-Men. I mean, they do things.
They do it. They gotta keep it fresh for the kids. Like,
yeah, they made a lot of hints in WandaVision, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I've been burned many times.
Yeah. For X-Men, you're not getting your hopes up for X-Men?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I stream it.
Well, is New Mutants actually coming out now?
It's been out, I thought.
Wait, what's coming out? What's coming out?
New Mutants?
New Mutants had came out.
Oh.
The one that they delayed for forever because of the buyouts.
Yeah, but
and then they dropped it.
That's not good though. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, did it come out?
It got re-edited like 4 times.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like if they're rebooting X-Men, I don't know, they better get someone badass to replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, because like you can't top Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
They just need to not use Wolverine. There are so many.
No more Wolverines. No more. They can recast Storm, because Storm needs to be a beautiful black goddess. They need to put Gambit in there. They need to put my Cajun lover in there. I'm sorry. They need to put a proper Gambit in there. And they need like a rogue that can pull off the hey sugar.
Anna Paquin looking at you right
I know. I was really upset with Anna Paquin. I don't have a problem with Anna Paquin, but like as Rogue, I was like, no. You just messed up my Rogue. You can't do that. What is this madness? And where is Gambit?
I still wanted to hear a conversation like that about it. I love Anna Paquin too, but yeah, just this convo right here. Yeah, she wasn't our Rogue from the cartoon at all.
Oh, she was not. She was too pretty. Like Rogue was like rough and Southern and was like orphaned and kicked out of her house. And yeah, she literally could kick your ass just by like, I don't know, man.
Powers, even without her powers, because she didn't like to use her powers, she would still be.
She was really strong. I don't know, man. I was expecting more from Rogue, so that's how I felt. But you know, it is what it is. So I'm cool with a reboot.
Yeah.
Let's leave Wolverine out of this. You know,
he did a lot for this community.
Yeah, I know, right? We all love Hugh Jackman. I don't know how I feel. I mean, I guess you can put Cyclops.
I'm good with Josh out. He's out too.
I don't like the teen frat boy drama. That's what it is. That's what it feels like.
And that is always Scott Summers. Just I don't need
I know Scott Summers is kind of a whiny bitch, isn't he?
He turns the school for gifted children into a frat house, and I'm not feeling it.
It's so annoying. He's just such a pretty boy with like Ray-Bans, and it's just so annoying. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like Jean Grey is such a formidable character, and then like dating the wrong guy, man.
She's that tough, strong girl boss who has that terrible boyfriend who just like treats her like dirt and makes her treats her like a child, and she goes.
That's why Jean Grey needs to be with Wolverine. But then you realize that in the comics, Wolverine is 5'3".
Yeah.
And you realize how shallow Jean Grey is because she'd rather date the pretty Cyclops boy than date like the badass 5'3" guy who would let her be whatever kind of woman she wants to be, because Wolverine is like, you'd never be too much woman for me. I could take it. You know what I mean? Like Cyclops in the meantime is just like, no, Jean Grey. Like, I don't know. I can't. See, this is the question. Let's geek out about X-Men. This is where I would geek out about.
The TED Talk. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yo.
Reasons why Jean Grey should have picked Wolverine instead of Cyclops. That's my TED Talk.
I love it. Sign me up.
Yo, this was absolutely awesome. I love this whole nerd out that we just ended it with. Cori, you are amazing. You are just as amazing as those X-Men, and I love it. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, man. I had one other question that kind of came to my mind, but then it's gone. I'm trying to get it in real quick before we let you go.
When did it happen?
Actually, you know what? Here it is. From any pop culture property, because you're an actor. You know, there's certain roles I know you've wanted to play as well. You've been in the Marvel universe. You were in Daredevil, but
for like
if you could, for a hot second, but you're still amazing. But if you could be a particular character in any pop culture franchise, what would you like to be in?
I have to go with.
And we won't go on long on that because I know we went long on the X-Men, but just real quick, if you could think of one.
I'm a Marvel girl, so I feel like it's either Jubilee, but I know she's Vietnamese, so I don't want to play a Southeast Asian that I'm not. Yeah. But I always loved, and also because I was like, she's Asian, yay. But I mean, I love Rogue. I would love to play Rogue if they ever want to cast a Southern.
Hell yeah,
Asian.
Southern fried Asian. Why not?
There's Southern Asians. If they ever want to cast me as Rogue, I'm down for that. The other thing too is this is DC Comics though, but like Grace Choi, but she's supposed to be like a 7 foot tall, South Pacific person, and I'm like, I mean, I can't play that, but you can give me the superhuman strength. I'll be down with that. But I feel like if they ever want to cast a Southern Rogue that's Asian.
I could totally see that. You could totally rock that. Hell yeah.
I could do the whole sugar thing. I'd say that. Sugar.
I love it. So superhero type property would be, so Marvel or a DC character would be where you'd like to go. Okay. All right. Well, this was amazeballs. Appreciate you so much for Cori sharing your story and inspiring us. Let's let them know how they can reach out to you before we let you go.
Oh yeah, I have a website, y'all. It's CoriDioquino.com. So I give it to you to put it like in the
It'll be in the description and we'll have it on the screen as well.
Yeah, I have a website and you should be able to reach me through the website. Yeah. Oh, and if you're looking for acting classes, I coach acting too. I do it virtually right now. So, because that's what the world is that we're living in.
Yes. Changing with the times and just evolving and moving forward. And I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with us and inspiring our audience. So thank you, Cori.
Thanks for having me, man.
Definitely. All right, y'all. Cori, we're going to let her go and then we're going to have fun and talk about it right now. Boom. There you go. Cori Dioquino, amazing actor, educator, motivator. She's just everything, right? What do y'all think of that?
X-Men fan,
X-Men. Oh yeah, y'all went a little ham on that, but I was sitting here enjoying that. I was like, okay, because I felt the same way
about everything, including X-Men. So
yeah.
My favorite Shadow Cat though. She's so cute.
She is so cute.
No, I think that was really great. I really appreciated her sharing like kind of that her story as a child being an immigrant and coming in and having that like go plan.
Yeah, that was deep.
And it's like
I was straight up the Yellow Rose because y'all both seen Yellow Rose now, right? Wasn't that like real life Yellow Rose right there? Oh my God.
Envelope of money, like, okay, you need to contact these people and then you're gonna go from here to here to here to here to get back to the Philippines, get back to your family, get back to where you're safe. Like, and then like I can't imagine, like when I was 5, I was learning like my zip code or my address, but it's like
it's so isolating,
yeah,
like to have that level of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And then it was when she mentioned, she's like, yeah, I have separation anxiety whenever she dropped me off. I'm like, I bet I would too. Like that's very real. And it was just very like,
deep. And then like not knowing her mother and
right.
mother, and then your father comes back. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of strength though to overcome that. And I got to give it, that she has a good head on her shoulders and still went for what she wanted to do and is still building and just is so strong. I love that,
And it's like using past trauma as a platform to, advocate for people that are also going through the same thing. Mm-hmm. So that's like the best possible outcome of that. And yeah, her touching on, family separation through immigration. And that's something that's really big amongst, Filipinos around the world is that it's a diaspora, like, Filipinos are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like, strangers amongst family happens all the time. So that was just very intense. And I could also relate to her not feeling like the right kind of Asian.
Yeah.
I'm sure all three of us can relate in that regard of just not being Asian enough. And, those kind of feelings echoed with me. So.
Yeah. Our second episode when we all, interviewed each other and we were breaking it down, like that was just, we're not alone. It was like, everyone went through it. So that definitely felt seen there. Yeah. How about you, Kat?
Yeah, just imposter syndrome. Everything always comes back to imposter syndrome. It's like a trait of being Filipino, I suppose.
Yeah. Good food, imposter syndrome, nurse in the family, and imposter syndrome.
There we go.
Yo, there's a tweet I just shared the other day. I forgot who posted it, but it's so Asian to question somebody else's Asianness. Yeah, I was like, that's so real talk. Yeah. But man, but we're building, we're growing, we're learning, we're exploring, and that's what this show is all about. And so it's just amazing. And thank you, Cori. If you're watching this now after us talking to you, thank you for sharing your story and connecting with us and connecting with the people that are out there that may and or going through the same thing right now. So this was a true pleasure, y'all. Tina.
The change wants to see in the world, like that's all in all, like she hit it right off the bat when she's like, well, I have all these ideas for stories, but no one's gonna make those stories unless I do it. And that's what we see is more Filipinos behind the camera, behind the scenes in the studios and making it happen, and how important it is to have that representation everywhere. So
definitely.
Thank you, Cori.
Yes, thank you, Cori. Yo, let's let them know if they want to, if you as our fans that are checking us out and listening to our stories, we want to hear your story. We want to hear your comments, what you think, who would you like us to talk to and have them tell their story, or if you just want to share your story. I want to hear those because it helps us and helps us do what we do, and because we're all kababayan, we want to share our culture and give back to our culture. So hit us up. And so Tina, tell them how they can reach out to you out the gate.
I am Viva Valentina. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at viva.valentina. And you can find me on Twitter and chess.com at Viva Valentina XO.
Kat.
I'm Kat Forick, and you can reach me online and stuff. But you know who else you can also find online? Ninang Nunu, whose awesome stickers came in the mail for the Ates. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, then you can see these wonderful, fun duets stickers. And if not, then you can look up Nina Nunu and see for yourself on Etsy and Instagram. For me, if you'd like to follow Cataphoric, I am on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We also have a ShoPowSho TikTok, and if you want a little bit more behind the scenes, you can check out our Patreon or just buy us a coffee.
Yes, yes. Love the amazing lattes, and we love you, Ninang Nunu. Shout out to our homie Tammy. Appreciate you as always. I am Kuya P. You can follow me at Strange Since 1977, as well as at Temple Far East, here at the ShoPowSho and our home site of the Nerds of Color, as well as at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. This has been another fun one, y'all. I love y'all as always. The amazing Ates, your boy Kuya P. Mahakita. Salamat. Yeah.
What up, everyone? It's Cori Dioquino, and I am on the ShoPowSho. Check me out. Hey, everyone. I'm Cori Dioquino. I am an actor. I am a producer. I am a teaching artist, and I'm Filipino. And my Filipino heritage is important to me because it's who I am. It's everything that I have ever known about myself, about my identity. It's what centers me. It's what grounds me. And I'm very unapologetic about it. And I'm very grateful to be Filipino because we're awesome.